Hello, this is Rob Hiles, student ID number 26510-530, and I'm presenting my Graphics Assessment 2 assignment. For it, I have made a short level comprised of 3 sections to showcase Unreal Engine 5's rendering features. To start off, these are the reference images I use as inspiration for the scene. All of them kind of revolve around the theme of otherworldly. The top 2 images are from the Zen levels of Half-Life 1, which are meant as natural terrain in this otherworldly setting. The first image was my main inspiration for the second section, with its dark purple hue and floating energy ball, which feels very alien. I used the next one as an idea for the third area, using the idea of unnaturally coloured rocks with this unique texture. The third image is from the first Red Faction game, which had a big gameplay focus on destructible environments, which was set on Mars. This inspired the third area as well. The last image is from the menu of the unreleased Star Fox 2, which served as inspiration for the first area with these scattered and varied alien planets. For the level, we spawn in a confine and are shown a gun which we can pick up and a door. Once we approach the door, it opens to reveal an alien solar system orbiting around each other, casting various lights and shadows. We can then go through the next door to a transition area. Going into the next area, we are presented with this deep purple coloured room with a bridge hanging over a dark pool with particles emitting from it. Once we get over the bridge and out the door, we can look back to see the bridge get swallowed by the pit. Going into the final area, we can see terrain of multicoloured textured rocks, which we find out are destructible with the player gun. For the player movement and gun, I used the first-person shooter template made by Unreal. For the world geometry, along with inbuilt primitives, I used the modelling mode, which allowed me to create spheres with entryways as well as the slopes inside. For the doors, I used a blueprint which had an invisible trigger area here, which used on component begin overlap, and when triggered it would put the door down by 2 units per tick. For this room, I used splines in blueprints to create the orbits of the planet. They are first constructed depending on the spline radius variable and turned into circles based upon this construction script. They then check if they are attached to a parent spline here, and then they use a custom event called move to rotate them around that parent spline during runtime. For the planets, I used a parent class to hold the movement logic, using the same functionality as the orbits, which allowed them to move around the spline. This then allowed me to make multiple varied planets. The planets also hold a point light to light up the scene, for which the colour and intensity is editable for each child's planet. The Sun object, like the other planets, is a child of the planet base blueprint. This uses a custom material that I showed off in Assessment 1, which uses world noise, if and lerp statement, to create this sun moving pattern. It also uses the Niagara system to create these effects around it, using a directional burst without gravity force and increasing the particle size and make them emit to give this effect. For the second room, I used a point light coloured purple to light the scene. For the pool underneath the bridge, I used a water plugin made by Epic, which allowed me to get these water ripples and water effects. I coloured it purple and then reduced its opacity, so it kind of gave this black hole effect. I also used another Niagara system from the fountain preset. I disabled the gravity, edited the particle spawn to get the colour and the size, and then added a vortex force to create this swirl effect. For the bridge animation, I first modelled the object in the modeler, and then I used the skeletal mesh editing tools plugin by Epic, which allowed me to convert a static mesh to a skeletal mesh. And with that skeletal mesh, I was able to make a skeleton, and then I was able to make it move through that. After I made the skeletal mesh, I used a level sequencer to animate it. And after I had animated it in the level sequencer, I baked it into an animation sequence. To get the animation to play in game, I used a trigger box in the world and the level blueprint, which selected the trigger box for when the player walked over, and when they did, it would destroy the static mesh of the bridge, and then it would play the animation. And then destroy the trigger box, which allowed the animation to play one time, and then you wouldn't be able to cross back over. For the final room, I made a blueprint which created randomly scaled and coloured rocks. This was done through using random floating range to create both the colour and the scale. For the colour, I made a custom material which blended a texture sample and the colour to create this textured but randomly coloured material. For the destruction, the rocks use a 3D mesh that detects collision, and when it detects something collided with it, it checks to see if it's the first person projectile, and if it is, it will destroy itself. And then I've added this in the projectile as well to detect if it's hit a rock, which it will then delete itself.